Has Zamperla bitten off more than they can chew? The reimagined Top Thrill Dragster opened as TT2 on Star Wars Day, the 4th of May. And from what we can see, everybody who managed to get on that ride has found it spectacular, a massive upgrade. Genuinely seems that people that have got on the ride were blown away by just how good it was. Unfortunately, less than 10 days later, the park released this statement. Top Thrill 2 is currently experiencing an extended closure as Zamperla, the ride's manufacturer, completes a mechanical modification to the ride vehicles. Once this modification is complete, Zamperla, the Cedar Point maintenance and operation team, and our third-party ride inspection partner will conduct a thorough review before approving both the modification and the reopening of the ride. Though we cannot yet confirm the opening date, we will provide updates at cedarpoint.com. We know our guests are excited to experience this incredible roller coaster, and we share your disappointment that we are not able to operate it this weekend. We will do everything possible to reopen Top Thrill 2 as soon as we are confident we can deliver the ride experience that our guests deserve. And unfortunately, the ride is now closed for extended downtime whilst the manufacturer goes to re-engineer certain components. Now, the park's been fairly closed about this. They haven't really announced anything, and I totally get why. There's some speculation that it's around about the wheel assemblies, but again, nothing's confirmed. One thing to be super clear though, it doesn't appear that there's been any safety concerns on this ride whatsoever. In fact, the fact that Cedar Point have already found this issue and taken the action they have just shows how good and how dedicated their engineering team actually is. That said, the ride is closed and there is no indication of when it is coming back. Now, to be clear, from what we can tell, and again, no confirmation from the park here, it simply appears that one of the components, possibly that wheel assembly, is wearing faster than anticipated. Obviously, all parts on a roller coaster have a lifespan, and it's not uncommon to be replacing parts of the ride. You know, typically you see winter maintenance, they strip everything back and replace whatever is needed. 10 days is very quick. Now, that's not to say the parts had already failed and were needing replaced, but evidently signs were showing that things were failing faster than anticipated. Now, some people have seen them running one of the trains, but with some sensors on it. I don't think that necessarily indicates the ride is imminently coming back. I think they're potentially just trying to do some analysis on what is going wrong with this component, whatever it may be. It does kind of lead to a couple of different theories about when this ride's going to reopen. There seems to be some people who believe they're going to just reopen it very soon and just take the hit on replacing these parts as and when required, whilst Zamperla work on the reimagination of this part. Not reimagination, re-engineering. That could be very expensive, right? We don't know what the lifespan of this now is. You know, it could be the wheel. If we're seeing this after 10 days, they don't want to be buying new parts, even monthly, let alone more frequently than that. So I'm not convinced that that's necessarily the way they're going to go. I think they are just going to allow Zamperla the time they need to re-engineer this part, to test this part, stress test this part. But that could be a very lengthy process. You know, I mean, Zamperla aren't known for thrill rides. I mean, if you look at their website, they do say thrill, but this is kind of their kind of debut into the thrill market, if you will. I mean, you get things like the Rocking Tug and the Zamperla Nebulous and some kiddie coasters. So, you know, they're not unfamiliar with coasters, but certainly nothing on the scale of Top Thrill 2. And obviously they want, the park and Zamperla want this to be a massive success because Zamperla want to be able to make more of these and sell them elsewhere. And obviously Cedar Point, they lost one of their headline attractions. They've brought this back now. It's obviously been well received, but it needs to be reliable, right? So there's a lot of pressure there. So that kind of takes us back to the original question then. Has Zamperla bitten off more than they can chew? And to be honest, I think it's too early to tell. It's not uncommon. This is a brand spanking new ride, right? As I just said, this is a new model. So it's a new train as well, right? It's an untested train. It's not uncommon to have teething problems. Yes, Zamperla have moved into this arena and it is new territory for them. I think really we won't know if they've bitten off more than they can chew until we see the solution, right? If it takes them till next season to fix it, or if they fix it and then that fix doesn't last, then yes, they've definitely bitten off way more than they can chew. And it may be that the park then has to go and get other manufacturers in to come and help. But I don't think that's going to be the case. You know, I think they will get this fixed. I do think they're going to take their time and do it properly though. So, you know, those who are hoping that the ride's going to be back within the next month or so, I'm not convinced that's the case. I did put a poll up and asked you guys what you thought, and quite a few of you definitely thought it was going to take multiple months to put it back together again. There are some of you who think this just won't come back, that Zamperla can't fix it. And I'd be curious. I think if Zamperla cannot fix it, as I said, the park will reach out, or Zamperla will reach out to one of the other manufacturers for assistance, because There's no way the park's going to invest all that money in this ride and then scrap it. That's just not going to happen. So it will come back. I am keeping my fingers crossed for Zamperla because I think this would be great to have another manufacturer on that stage to compete with Vekoma and Intamin and Mack and B&M, you know, somebody else up there. But let me know your thoughts down below. Did you get on this ride before it closed? Do you want to get on this ride? Do you have faith in Zamperla? And when do you think it's going to come back? Let me know down below. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit subscribe. I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad. See you in the next one.